So hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. If you are tag teaming from my YouTube channel, you are coming into our Life Enchantment segment. And if you happen to be clicking in from my new website, which is my author website, then you have clicked under the segment that says a novel discussion on relationships. Now, this has come about because I'm releasing very soon, my very first novel entitled Someday. And so basically, Someday is just a novel that talks about, it's a fictional novel that speaks to the journeys of life we all encounter and all go on, and the challenges that you will face when you have unfinished business that you haven't dealt with, and it comes back and make you ill prepared for the someday that you seek. So one of the things that we want to do to introduce the book is talk about the aspects of relationship, because that is a major component in the book. And that is actually where the title of a novel discussion of relationships came about. So we thought, how can we talk about this in a way that can pull elements of the characters and real life elements so that people can be connected all in one? And so we came up with this segment. So today, what I have is a friend of mine, Justin Smallwood, who's going to talk from a male perspective about elements of relationships. Now, when we talk about relationships, we're talking about all kinds of relationships, those with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your significant other, platonic, you name it, we're talking about it. So we're going to be tagging team on that. I'm going to pull elements from the novel and just get his overall perspective about things like that, okay? So, Justin, welcome. So glad to have you
Hello,
here.
Kiki. Hello, I'm glad to be here.
I'm so excited. It says your internet. I don't know. It was saying something about the internet, so we will try to see how this goes.
Uh,
We are tagging team together via Zoom today, of course, because I am in Ohio and Justin's in North Carolina. But he was so willing to do this for me, and so I'm so excited. So, Justin, when you hear the word someday, what comes to your mind when someone says, like, someday I'm going to do X, Y, and Z? Usually, what does that mean to you?
well, actually, the word someday, the first thing that comes to my mind is why put off tomorrow what you can do today?
Okay.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Uh-huh.
Um, Secondly, someday meaning you may have goals that you just cannot reach right now.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully one day you put the pieces together like the domino effect. You start putting like a puzzle together. You start chipping away and chipping away and chipping away until those pieces, that puzzle gets to be a bigger picture. And someday
Mm-hmm.
that dream you had or the vision you had will all come together and it will be there. So
Exactly.
those two things come to mind.
Okay, so that's very interesting because your very first segment or definition talks about aspects of procrastination. And I think we all can identify with procrastination at one point in time in our lives.
Oh yeah, I am 100% procrastinator.
Oh my gracious. And so is that why that was the first thing that came to your mind? Because you are a procrastinator?
Yes, I am. Yes, correctly. That's yes, great assumption. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So let's talk on that aspect for a little bit. Because and when we're talking about relationships, of course, if you procrastinate sometimes in relationships of whatever type, couldn't that affect the overall relationship as a whole?
Yes, been there, done that.
Okay.
Um, when women want something and they see something, well, I take the blame a lot because I'm a great catch.
Yep.
So so
You are.
um, so oh, thank you. With that being said, women want to move a little faster than the guys do at sometimes, and
Very true.
so I've been in certain situations where the woman wanted to go to the next step and get married.
Okay.
And yeah, and I have been in engagements because of obligation reasons.
Gotcha.
So
Whoa.
yeah, sometimes when you want to procrastinate, well, actually, it's really not procrastination. I would say, in a way, it is, but at the same time, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready mentally as well.
Yeah.
So that could be so procrastinating and really wasn't ready is kind of hand in hand, but not the same thing.
Yeah, very true.
But at the same time, I wasn't. I mean, there were some great girls, some great partners of mine, great. But
Yeah.
I just prolonged it and prolonged it and prolonged it and prolonged it until I lost them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I think you said something major there, because any type of relationship form that you have to be ready to move to whatever the next step may be, or to even enter into a relationship. That's the same for even friendships. You can meet some great people that got things that they can add to your life, but you may not necessarily want to add another person to your life at that time. You're just like, look, I'm trying to balance out all these other people that I know, and they're pulling from me. I don't necessarily want to add somebody else at this moment. But by procrastinating, they could end up going to another group and or moving on some other way, and you miss an opportunity that could have been available to you.
Yeah, but yeah, true. That's true. But like you said, maybe you wasn't ready to bring nobody else on in your group because you was already had enough going on as it is.
Oh yeah.
So it's, I mean, you win some, you lose some. It's how it is, how life is.
You do, and that's sort of what the book talks about, some elements too, when you're not prepared, or it'll make you ill prepared for that someday that you're seeking after. Now, one of the components that you talked about reminded me of the character Robert. So you're going to see me looking down because I'm looking at notes about each of the individual characters. And I didn't tell you anything about the book, but I did mention to you about Robert's sort of apprehension of moving forward with certain things, that because of the letdowns that he had in his own life, that he was more prepared for the things to end as opposed to things to begin.
Oh yeah,
So,
I remember, yeah.
yeah. So what, from that mindset, do you feel that that individual who's sort of already thinking about the end of things as opposed to the journey and the process, do you think they've already sort of concluded how the relationship is going to happen to some degree, that it's going to end because they've already prepared for that? Or do you have a different thought on that?